When you look at a plane taking off, you rarely think about the fact that behind its safety are years of work, engineers, and the courage of those who first lifted the car into the sky with you, Sasha. Small, and today we are talking with Roman Petrovich Taskaev, pilot, tester, hero of Russia, behind whose shoulders the testing of a whole galaxy of domestic aircraft, from the MiG-29 Yak-130 to the newest MC-21, where the safety of critical systems worked, including GH. Nervous campaign and quart in his career of flying at the limit of the possibilities of technology, saved cars and records that forever went down in the history of aviation. Today we want to hear his view of the profession, the sky and the future. Avias, hello Roman Petrovich. Hello Roman Petrovich, tell me why you chose aviation. Why did you choose this path for yourself?
Apparently, education beginning at home and school nurtured a profound love for aviation and learning. Although unfamiliar with this profession initially, an intense passion drove me towards it. Being in aviation back in school years, well, probably the first impulse was this visit to the Chtinsky Flying Club. That's where it kind of started, as it were. The path wasn't straightforward. It was hobbies, as you suggested, that eventually guided me. Yes, indeed, the flying club played a pivotal role.
Do you remember your first flight? What emotions did you have?
Two memorable first flights stand out. One was at the flying club in a glider, vividly etched in memory, where instructor Alexandrovich Mekryakov guided me. That's when my journey into aviation truly began, with the instructor on a Primoretz glider. I recall each flight vividly.
You piloted the glider directly, not as a passenger, but as someone in control, stepping into the role of a pilot.
There are no passengers there. There are two chairs there. A cadet sits in front, an instructor sits in the back. Were they winching us up high, approximately 250, 300 meters there? We flew in circles. It was already kind of interesting. It was already purely like male interest and 2-1 flight, of course, in school. We started flying in the first year, so in the first year at the Kharkov Investment School of Pilots on the Il-29 aircraft, there is also something memorable here. Flight.
Why did you choose the path of a test pilot and not a pilot, for example, of civil aircraft?
Well, Putin made his choice at 14 to 15. Similarly, mine happened as a boy. Difficult because I had no idea what it was like to be a civil aviation pilot there. I had no idea that there were combat aviation pilots there. And when... Did you finish school? Yes, of course. Deciding on aviation was clear, though the specific school choice wasn't. The dilemma was so big, and one such obstacle I had was the lack of yet the required age for admission. Yes, I had to be 17 years old. I was not yet 17 years old. Years, and I sent several requests to different schools. Well, where will they answer from? There were some schools in Syzran, Saratov, and helicopter and transport aviation. Kharkov and also Chernihiv Fighter School. The answer came first from the Kharkov school, so the lot fell. I sent the documents to the Kharkov school, in which they said, come on, we'll figure it out.
The team of the engineering company Equarta includes engineers who took part in the development, safety assessments of many critical systems of the MC-21 aircraft, both in its primary configuration and in import substituted. Naturally, we followed its first flight with special attention and know that it was you who piloted it. Could you share details about this flight and plane? Are there any features it has that allow the pilot to feel more confident or safe, maybe?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that the plane I didn't pilot alone. We had a crew, which means Oleg Olegovich, Kinonenko, my comrade and I. We completed this one flight. Well, that's in terms of chronology correctness, Here he was the commander, I was on the right. Well, in the process of flight test, the approach to the aircraft and its characteristics. Well, we have it a little dictated, sometimes personal, as if requirements. Initially, the aircraft itself was made taking into account imported components, and it already has a certificate. One of the cars here is flying right now. In this person, well, the 310 car is almost approaching. This is to 100% replacement of these onboard items. And on this path, of course, difficulties arise in connection with the fact that I said this first of all. The people and the lack of technology that we have lost over the years are involved with missing parts. But the iron into which we put these spare parts, we must ensure that future generations follow the same vision and path. You won't have to blush for this, that is here. The inspection was carried out so seriously, and I myself went through all these stages, that I can assure you that everything will be calm, and I myself will fly it with pleasure. In principle, I'm kind of a fighter by nature, and here I am testing a civilian aircraft from scratch. I just started studying at EMS. It turned out that this job too. Very, very interesting, and many modes like Flutter. Yes, for the first time I saw the method of performing them. I sat on a plane. How does this all happen? Yes, this is exciting for testing, but at the same time, after processing all the materials, we adjust to the fact that we have chosen the right design. We chose the right approach to aircraft design.
Well, great, we believe in the future. Russian aviation. What vision do you hold for its evolution and progression?
The future of aviation. Well, in principle, we now seem to understand that more attention has begun to be paid to the development of aviation. The future likely holds innovations such as enhanced aircraft, engines, and systems designed to boost safety measures. The economy of this takes time, This highlights the security we are actively prioritizing and delivering. With advancements in materials, cutting-edge technology, and the utilization of artificial intelligence, the industry awaits further transformation. Enhanced computing power has significantly influenced aviation, as evidenced by past milestones and developments. We had mostly analog devices. Yeah, there was no such understanding of programming. Thematic support is now all in progress. Any child walks with a phone, in which I think all this is stuffed, and it also begins to live on the plane. Quite tightly, of course, we have some hiccups with the fact that we are our children, our younger generation. Did they start to attract everything to this programming? Well, it's a little late for that. As usual with us. Those who think yes went either into commerce or into hackers or something, and it was somewhat difficult to lure here because the aircraft industry practically lay down, but now the situation is changing, and I think we are. All these technologies will catch up, and the leadership we had before, of course, will bring him back.
Yeah, that is, we will revive and return to the origins and go even further.
Of course. Again, yes, it requires it. The time for this requires the development of both aviation culture and the aviation industry, right?
We move to the flight crew lounge. Roman Petrovich, tell me what kind of place this is. How do you spend your time here and when?
Well, first of all, we're at the flight test complex. We're conducting various flight tests at this location. This room is our rest room in which we rest, either before the flight or after the flight, depending on what flights go here we have. This is the place for flight preparation, task coordination, and briefing. This entire floor is reserved for us, and we reside here.
Could you share any traditions related to pre-flight preparations, perhaps even symbolic gestures?
Well, let's say, in principle, for the pilot, well, there are documents signing there that talk about the need to go around the plane, look at it, look there, look, is the integrity of something leaking out there? A variety of activities are involved, each significant in its own way. Others prioritize our welfare even more than we do ourselves, leading us to trust them completely. Visiting the aircraft as part of this tradition is commonplace. Pilots often maintain rituals like touching the fuselage or wing, showing respect for these customs without fail.
Sometimes names are given to aircraft. Do you follow this practice?
No, we primarily rely on board numbers to identify the planes.
Can you share how your family feels about your job and how they support or worry about you?
I can tell you one case about these experiences. Did this actually occur? I began flying for OKB Mikoyan after finishing flight school. On my 7th flight with Alexander Vasilievich Fedotov, we had to eject during acceleration. It was about 100 kilometers away in the forest. Here. Well, how was it all? This is already 2 questions, but catapult, this is known here at the airport. As the saying goes, you can't hide a needle in a bag. News about our ejection reached the dormitory where our families stayed. Back then, none of us had apartments. The phone call brought the opposite situation. And the girls of our pilots' wives are getting ready quickly. This was found out, discussed, and is going to go report mine. Which is so and so, and at this time it means that he is my comrade, Seryoja Tresvyatsky. He heard all this, and he understands that, well, until they find us, until we are brought there, in what condition should the person be fiddled with? Then he also talks about the girl. Well, come in. They take this very thing into their apartment, he says. So I'll tell you now, yes, they all went there. He locks it on the key. When they bring it, then I'll release it.
This is amazing. How did your wife react to the news that this had happened?
Well, what could she do? She'd already endured the uncertainties of aviation for a long time.
Roman Petrovich, as for you, in your track record, there are many incredible events, some of which you saved equipment that was on the verge of destruction, in particular the MiG-29, which you landed with a destroyed tail plumage, was ejected twice. You told us about one case, and there is another one we know. Have you ever been really scared? What guides your decision-making in those moments? How do fear and duty interact?
To be honest, I don't think about my fears because this work is going on. The work is just the way we were preparing, that is. When working out tasks there, we always work out options for some failures or something and cultivate it, as it were, during preparation.
It turns out that the key criterion is that you are already prepared in advance for what may happen. Yes, events, and you understand how to act in this, and therefore there is no such fear.
Well, yes, this is probably the difference between flight test activity and the work of a combat pilot. There, I prepare specifically for combat operations. I am taught and supported my skills in combat use. In terms of goals, that's it. I diligently do it there and don't think about the fact that on the plane I might refuse something there or something, although we are kind of ready for it.
However, such possibilities aren't the core focus. The work itself remains paramount.
Hitting the target is in the work of test pilots. We always need to be ready for some emergency situation from which I definitely need to get out. No matter how challenging it gets, I must overcome obstacles and return the aircraft to operational condition.
Very intriguing to hear your perspective, I must admit.
Many.
After your words, they will even more want to dedicate themselves to heaven. That's for you to say to those people, maybe students, or for now, maybe even children or their parents of children who want to dedicate themselves to heaven.
To begin with, if you have this aspiration, you must make efforts to realize it. To achieve this, specify the route you need to follow and stick to it with determination.
As they say, all dreams come true.
Thank you very much, Roman Petrovich, for the conversation. Thank you for your work. We have a little present for you, right?
We are aware of your evaluation of the MiG-29. Surprisingly, we came across the MiG-35, which is a reconfiguration of MiG-29, and here's a fascinating representation of Offord's artistic metalwork on the MiG-35.
You didn't tell me?
Well, at least that's what I was instructed to do, in general, for memory.
Regarding today, our interview conversation, the specifics about our company and myself, this is meant for you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Yes, come on.
Come on.
I'll look.
Let's try this discovery.
Very cool. Thank you very much.
Yes, I'm thrilled you enjoyed it. Let me hand it over to you. It's entirely yours now.
Thank you.
Dear viewers, thank you for being with us. Before we meet in new interviews, you yourself were Sasha Malik. Bye-bye.
In practically every interview you conduct with us, your observations bring new insights. Here are the pilots you're filming, and we seem like solitary bubbles rising quietly from a tranquil swamp, don't we?
We are deeply committed to educating and shaping someone's future with care and diligence.
And that illustrates why we must consistently ensure one of the questions is addressed with focus and precision.
About ours.
Mentors of our instructors are comrades. The scheme works because this is how the interview goes, and not always. There is a place in the interview to say, why did I do this, yes?
Roman Petrovich, can you share why this came to be?
If you could, yes, elaborate here.
Naturally, we begin traditionally reflecting on family upbringing. Parents and siblings create an environment where one learns foundational knowledge about the world.
No matter how justice does not always exist, and even there you have to defend with your fists himself.
And already as a pilot of formation, this is in this album, you can see the instructors there who taught me to fly. This is our entire guard. This is the third year. I am very grateful to the instructors who they believed in me and gave me the opportunity to fulfill my dream. This is already the fourth year of Pascal. Vladimir Ivanovich is a very good person.
He trained me on a combat aircraft, mastering complex techniques.
All the elements well. Here are our cadets, friends and comrades.
Here he explains how to go to the landing. This is already the unit commander. The exams are already starting here.
Big bosses ask me how I reached this point in life. Well, let me tell you the full story behind it.
Elements already.
Stat exam Sugyu.
Graduation, yes.
Yes. And
End of school. Stylized in this manner, let me introduce my first commander-in-chief in the VS, the esteemed Pavel Stepanovich Kutakhov.
he passed and did not shy away from communicating with the pilots. That's it.